Right. Hi, Matt. Thanks for
Hi,
joining me
Andy.
today.
No problem. You well?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to you finishing this this video with a little song on the guitar later.
Yeah, I'll get my best Eric Clapton out.
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, so bit of background. So I think you and I met about 2010, something like that, introduced by your father-in-law, my old boss.
Yeah,
You were
that's
looking at a bank account, I think, at the time, and I gave you a bit of advice, which I don't know if it's any good or not, but still here.
Well, I'm still here. We're still talking.
Can't have been too bad. And in the interim, you've gone from a one-person business to 10, which I think puts you in something like the top 15% of businesses, because most don't get anywhere near 10 staff. It's quite an achievement. And you survived 13 years, which is far longer than the average business. So,
well, that's good to know.
So you're doing something right. Yeah, excellent. So can you just give us 3 tips from your vast experience, because you have obviously been doing something right all these years. 3 things that you go back and tell your 33-year-old self as you were starting out. Bit of, what advice would you give to setting up and running a business and getting to where you are?
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, there's lots of things that kind of come to mind. I think the first and probably the most important for me has to be the ability and the confidence to say no. When you're starting out, it's very easy just to say yes to new clients, to extra work. You're always worried about what's around the corner, and that's understandable. But if you can set your mindset in a place that you have that confidence to know when to say no to a particular client that you're not sure about bringing them onto your portfolio, but also no to certain types of work, capacity. It's very easy. I think the early days, I worked silly hours trying to juggle lots of clients and projects. And whilst at the beginning of a business, when you're starting up, there's a lot of excitement, and you have no problem with working silly hours. That soon wears off, and you've also started a trend. So having that ability to say no, and don't worry if it does mean that the odd client doesn't come back. There's always, if you've got that right business plan, you've got that right outlook, and you've got the right product service, it'll always build itself nicely. But you will have built a foundation that is based around what you want, what the business needs, without overloading it too quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really important. I think if you could have told my my 44-year-old self, or wherever old I was when I set up on my own, that one piece of advice, that would have saved me quite a lot of quite a few years. I think that would have accelerated me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an easier one said than done, admittedly. But I think if people can have that confidence and know that you've got that ability to say no, and don't, because it leads on to so many other things where they become pressure points from your own health and mental well-being, and there's no point in you burning out both physically and mentally, and your new venture goes down the pot. So yeah, that's definitely my biggest advice I would give my younger self.
Yeah, good one.
I think the other thing is, and this has been a real key area for us. Obviously, we've organically grown over those years. Where we're based is not known for being a sort of creative hub. Most people want to be going into the big cities, and obviously pre-COVID, recruitment of young designers and even experienced designers was always a bit tricky. People are more drawn to those creative hubs like Central London and Clerkenwell and Soho and so forth. So looking ahead to recruitment rather than being reactive to the needs. One of the advantages, admittedly, of the creative sector is there are a lot of freelancers, but I would have said, spend time in, building your network of freelancers, getting to know people, but also putting out the feelers and looking at new recruits, looking at new students, even if there isn't necessarily a role there. Build those relationships so that if you're confident that what you're selling in terms of your business and your products and services is attractive, obviously not only to the clients but to your staff, then they will always think of you highly. So they will always, be open to conversations, and keeping those lines of communications open, so that, should the need arise, you've got some people to contact and say, great, hope things are going well. We have a position, they may well be interested. So it's something that I'm learning very late. And something, it does take time. You've got to take some time out to be doing that. But in the long run, you have then built this sort of network of, dependent, for me, in our sector, freelancers, designers that I can talk to and engage with. And then, if the need arises, hopefully one or two of them may well be interested in taking up an open position with us. So I think definitely being proactive rather than reactive with recruitment is definitely one of those tips that I would have given my younger self.
I guess it's really important when you're going from 1 to 10. I mean, even at 10, one new person is 10% of your workforce. It's very important to get it right and to get the person on at the right time.
Yeah, and I think this probably then also just comes on to the third tip, which is for me about future planning, and also understanding how your business is growing. I think when I started out, I just started out being a freelance designer. I wanted to be closer to home. I wanted to be closer to the kids, so that I could, be involved in their lives a bit more rather than always commuting. And I think it became quite obvious quite quickly that a lot of the contacts that I'd built up over the years working for agencies were keen to continue those relationships. So, that's it organically grew. But what it meant was I was chasing my tail all the time, and I didn't have, and funnily enough, it was actually COVID that gave me the first proper opportunity to properly think, right, where are we? What's the future like? How do I structure? I've sought various advice from various people. How do I structure it so that it's not all pinned down on me? There are still elements where I think I'm Tinker Tailor Soldier Sailor, but we've got a plan, and we are getting, that's less of the case now. I've got, a fantastic sort of more senior team now in place, as well as sort of midweights and juniors. So we've got more of a proper structure to the business from a personnel point of view. But it also means one of the key elements is allowing me to factor key moments of the week to do, work on the business rather than in the business, to think about, mundane stuff like admin and, invoicing, and even chasing invoices, all has to be done.
Yeah.
And we've managed to structure the business now so that we've got extra support that's helping on that side. And we're putting in better places so that we can have that calendar, so we can have those meetings quite regularly. And having that mentality, that was the problem. I didn't have that mentality. It was all work, work, work. It was all, the invoicing I used to leave for ages and ages. And the problem with that is, okay, one, it's cash flow.
Yeah.
Always important. As I'm sure you everyone. But really, you're setting a mindset of yourself. You're setting a habit that can get a little bit tricky to get out of. And I think for me, that's taken a while to get out, and I'm not properly out of it, to be honest. But we're getting there. And so
but you've started. So what I'm interested in there really is what made you change? So obviously you start off as a single person business, and you've got to do everything, and you're probably not thinking ahead too much. I know you said COVID gave you the opportunity to start thinking, sort of sitting back and thinking about the future, but did someone else say you need to do that, or did sort of light bulb go off in your head, thinking I can't get to the next stage without changing the way that we do things around here, or how did it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it came to a point where I was exhausted, and I was, constantly I could see I was the bottleneck in the business,
Yeah.
and that was it. I could see it, but I didn't know how to deal with it. And a sort of good business associate of mine has a coaching business called Pole Position, and basically did some fantastic work where we sat down and analyzed the business and looked at structuring something and said, look, well, you've got gaps here, you need to be thinking about filling those gaps. And that's what we did. We brought on a more senior studio manager. That meant that was someone that could take over the trafficking and the organization of the day-to-day work, and just liaising with the junior designers. So it freed up my time to be able to go out, do more new business. So my role over the years has massively changed. I was designer and creative director. I'm not that anymore. I'm executive creative director, but I'm managing director and looking at new business. Still love getting involved in ideas, but I've now realized I had to relinquish a lot of those responsibilities, but incentivize long-standing members of staff, ones that are really talented in those different areas, to take that on.
Specialists in those areas. Yeah,
exactly.
So you pretty much got a board then now, have you? I mean, it might not be in that name, but you're the sort of the managing director, and you've got
we have a senior team. We have a senior team, and we meet every so often, just to talk about the business, talk about problems, talk about opportunities, and then even within that we've got like little groups, and then obviously we have wider discussions with the team. I mean, one really good, as you build, I've had to learn a hell of a lot very quickly, as all growing businesses have to do,
with no formal training usually. Pick it up as you go.
I must admit, yes, but simple things like ensuring that you're communicating how the business is doing and what the strategy is to everyone in the business, and getting them more involved has been really, really good. Whereas I thought before, oh, well, no, I've got to leave it on my shoulders. It's my responsibility. I don't want to worry everyone else, or I don't want to I'll just let them do the work, and I'll just tell them what they need to know when. Doesn't work.
No.
So, learned that the hard way, but have learned it, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, because I mean, a 10-person business isn't huge, but you've got quite a grown-up sort of structure there with your senior leadership team, and sort of that level of communication. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about looking at that core structure, and that's what Toby had told me. It doesn't matter, essentially, even if you're a one-man band, you're still effectively CEO, managing director.
Very true.
If you build out the core structure, and then everything else builds out around it. But it also means that you become more adaptive to changes within your business or within your industry. For us at the moment, key areas like AI are a real, well, I wouldn't say necessarily, initially I thought as a challenge, but, we're actually embracing it and using it as an advantage. But without, I think, understanding and being able to say to certain parts of the team, okay, you go and discover that. How can that benefit the business? What advantages are there to us on our day-to-day basis? We've opened up other opportunities. When we started, we were just a creative design team. Now we are more marketing and strategy. We have creative and design at the heart of it, but we're also doing content creation, from videos to social media to copywriting. So we've broadened our wings and our horizons a bit more, but I do feel that at the heart of that, it's the core team that I've managed to create. And you know, hopefully retaining those, but also building people around them is, well, that's the way that we're planning it. And hopefully that will give us some longevity going forward.
Yeah, no, it does sound like you're set up for the sort of next few years, I guess, the next level of expansion.
Hopefully, don't want to get too big, but
No.
you know, I think I think it's about, again, it's putting those foundations in. And I think if you can going back to my younger self, some of those foundations could have been done a lot sooner.
Yeah. Easily said, isn't it? But yeah.
Easily said.
Would you have listened if you'd have told yourself that at the time? Yeah.
Yeah. But easily said. But if it helps, you know, someone else who's starting out and, you know, they just think, you know, one thing, whether it's recruitment, whether it's, you know, don't be afraid to say no, then, you know, it's a good benefit to those. So.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for your time and for sharing those with us.
Pleasure.
We've got a couple of minutes left, so if you want to play out with Layla, or
yeah, no, I am terrible at music, but one of my colleagues does come in here, I think every so often on lunchtime, and just guitars down and starts to play on it. So yeah, it's good little offices that we have here, but
yeah, it's nice background.
Yeah, nice.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Matt. Cheers.
All right, thanks so much, Andy. Cheers. Take care now.